Anyone can spin up a virtual machine, but designing an Azure architecture that actually scales, stays secure, and survives an audit? That's a different skill entirely. Organizations moving critical workloads to Azure need architects who can make the right calls on identity, networking, storage, and governance before anything goes live. That's exactly what the Microsoft Certified Azure Solutions Architect Expert certification, validated through the AZ-305 exam, proves you can do. In this session, we'll walk through real exam-style practice questions so you can think like a solutions architect and pass the exam with confidence. Let's get started. Question number 1. You need to recommend a solution to generate a monthly report of all the new Azure Resource Manager, ARM, resource deployments in your Azure subscription. The solution must minimize development effort. What should you include in the recommendation? A. Azure Arc. B. Azure Activity Log. C. Azure Monitor Metrics. D. Application Insights. Correct answer: B. Azure Activity Log. Explanation: Azure Activity Log captures all subscription-level activities, including ARM resource deployments. It can be filtered and exported to create monthly deployment reports with minimal setup and coding effort. Why not others? Azure Arc, used for hybrid resource management. Azure Monitor Metrics, tracks performance data, not deployments. Application Insights monitors applications, not Azure resources. Question number 2. You have an Azure subscription. You are designing a data solution that will process millions of items nightly. The solution must meet the following requirements: support integration with Microsoft Dataverse, support dynamic data masking, support autoscaling. What should you include in the solution? A. Microsoft Fabric. B. Azure Databricks. C. Microsoft Power BLD. Azure Synapse Analytics. Correct answer: B. Azure Databricks. Explanation: Azure Databricks is designed for large-scale data processing, supports Microsoft Dataverse integration, provides dynamic data masking, and can automatically scale compute resources to handle millions of items efficiently. Why not others? Microsoft Fabric, broad analytics platform, but not the best fit for this specific scalable processing requirement. Microsoft Power BI, used for reporting and visualization, not data processing. Azure Synapse Analytics, provides analytics capabilities but lacks the required Databricks integration features. Question number 3. A company needs to design an Azure solution that allows users to access applications globally with low latency. The solution must automatically route users to the closest available endpoint. What should you recommend? A. Azure Load Balancer. B. Azure Traffic Manager. C. Azure Application Gateway. D. Azure Firewall. Correct answer: B. Azure Traffic Manager. Explanation: Azure Traffic Manager is a DNS-based global traffic routing service. It directs user requests to the nearest or healthiest endpoint based on routing methods like performance, priority, or geographic location. Why not others? Load Balancer works at the regional level. Application Gateway provides Layer 7 routing inside a region. Azure Firewall focuses on network security. Question number 4. An organization wants to migrate a database to Azure. The database must support automatic scaling, high availability, and minimal administration. Which Azure service should be selected? A. SQL Server on Azure Virtual Machines. B. Azure SQL Database. C. Azure Database Migration Service. D. SQL Server on Premises. Correct answer: B. Azure SQL Database. Explanation: Azure SQL Database is a fully managed PaaS database service that provides built-in high availability, automatic backups, and scaling capabilities without managing infrastructure. Question number 5. You are designing an application that requires storing millions of unstructured files such as images and videos. Which Azure service should you recommend? A. Azure Files. B. Azure Blob Storage. C. Azure Table Storage. D. Azure Queue Storage. Correct answer: B. Azure Blob Storage. Explanation: Azure Blob Storage is designed for massive amounts of unstructured data, including documents, images, videos, and backups. AZ-305. Tip: when you see keywords like images, videos, logs, backups, unstructured data implies think blob storage. Azure architects sit at the center of every major cloud decision an organization makes. Passing the Microsoft AZ-305 exam proves you can. Design identity, governance, and monitoring solutions, Architect data storage and business continuity strategies. Design infrastructure solutions across compute and networking. Translate business requirements into scalable Azure architecture. Don't rely on hands-on experience alone. Use CertBoosters practice questions to sharpen your architectural decision-making, reinforce exam objectives, and walk into the exam ready to pass on the first attempt. Start practicing now via the link given in the description below, and step into the solutions architect role Azure teams are counting on.